Alright, in today's video, we're going to be installing a brand new Chinese remanufactured Motorcraft 2100 on my 83 Jeep CJ5. If you watched the video on the Motorcraft 2100 in my 2003 TJ, where we had the Venturis fall out of it, blocked the throttle plates, you saw us take the old carburetor off of this Jeep, and that was bad, and robbed some parts out of it to fix the other carburetor so I could get my daily driver back on the road. So it's a beautiful day today out, and well, we're gonna hit it here and see if we can't get this thing installed and running a little bit better and not filling the crankcase full of fuel. Okay, so I ordered this off of eBay. Comes in a nice box, packaged well. Comes with a 1/4 inch thick gasket and an air cleaner gasket. And other than that, carburetor comes packaged pretty safely in an inch of foam and in its own plastic bag. The reason that we are not rebuilding the other carburetor that was on here, what it was doing is while you would run it, it would run incredibly rich, and then it would flood the motor to the point it wouldn't start. Initially, I thought it just needed a rebuild and that there was a hole in the diaphragm of the power valve. Well, I put a new power valve in it, just slammed one in it real quick one day, continued to have the same issues. Thought, well, maybe some of the gaskets in that gasket kit kind of looked dry, and I thought, well, maybe the gasket kit I got, the power valve wasn't any good, so I took it back apart. And actually what had happened is the housing around where the power valve threads in had cracked. So it was obviously no good, and that's why we were ordering another one. Now, that being said, I had gotten almost just under 3 years of service out of that carburetor. I had it on another vehicle before it went on this one. So, you know, people knock using these eBay or Chinese rebuilt Motorcraft 2100s, but you know, I've had some issues out of them now, but they've got some age and a lot of miles on them. So it's to be expected. Anyway, first thing you're going to want to do when you get this thing is you're going to want to inspect it. Make sure none of the passages, ports, or anything like that around the bottom have any kind of styrofoam or machining issues, any kind of oil in them, anything like that. Especially a lot of your vacuum ports here. Vacuum port here for your brake booster. Always check back in here. Make sure everything's all good and clean. And yeah. So anyway, I've already scraped the gaskets off over there, and we should just be ready to throw it on and bolt it down. So here we go. Alright, so some of the first things we're going to do here. You're going to take your flathead screwdriver, and you're going to come down to the air out of the mixture screws, and I like to ease them very carefully so you don't do any damage. All the way in, just till it gets snug. Don't force it. I do it on both sides. Then, what we're going to do is we're going to turn out counterclockwise. 1.5 turns. So there's a half. There's 1. 1.5. There's a half. There's 1. 1.5. That'll get you close. You're going to want to tune the engine with a vacuum gauge later on. Actually, we'll probably just do a whole video on that. But there's other videos on that on YouTube. I know Uncle Tony's Garage has a video on vacuum gauge. So the next thing, I got some gasoline in a spray bottle. All the little ports, like this one here. This is a vacuum port. Fill it with a little bit of gasoline. Kind of run it in and out. Clean back up in here with some gasoline. This thing is coated in oil from wherever it comes from. I like to get all the oil off. I don't want it to gum anything up. Once we do that, we've already got our new gasket here in the package. And I'll turn the camera off and move it up here closer and we'll bolt this sucker down. So what we have here is a Mr. Gasket brand. I don't remember the model intake adapter for your factory mid-80s AMC 258 two-barrel intake to a Motorcraft 2100 bolt pattern or Holley 2300 bolt pattern. I got our new gasket here. Real good quality gaskets will tell you which side to put up. This one here doesn't make any difference, and both sides are finished the same way. So we're just going to go with the way that it fits here. That is one thing I will say with these adapters. Definitely got to use the thick mounting gaskets. So anyway, we'll grab our carburetor here. And we'll just set it on there like so. Now the one thing about this kit is you can't use studs with it. So I have some 5/16 bolts that come up through the bottom with a washer and a nut. Is it optimum? Probably not, but it works. It works really well. I don't have vacuum leaks or any issues. The biggest thing about it is just maybe make sure you don't way over tighten it. So alright. Got to make sure you whack your elbow on the hood a couple times. It's just standard operating procedure. Now this carburetor here is the first one of this brand that from this seller I have purchased. This carburetor here is the first one of these that I've actually purchased that has this heat shield around the choke. The other thing that's kind of bad about how I Alright, so there, got all the bolts started. So we'll snug them down real fast. I like to just get them all snug first. And from learning from personal experience on this, when it comes to these adapters, snug and too snug is freaking broke on them, so you don't want to be he-manning them together at all. I broke one of the corner ears off of one once on another Jeep. I do prefer to run this carburetor for a Holley 2300. Right now I'm running a lot of these because they're cheap. The J10 is probably going to get a Holley 2300 with mechanical choke this spring when we do the hydro boost on it. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is hook up our wire for our electric choke. I'm going to take the screw out of this heat shield and loosen it up so I can get my fingers in there. Okay, so we got our choke wire hooked up there, we got the heat shield off, the camera shut off, and I have no clue why. So the next thing we got to do is we got to take this hose bar out for our fuel inlet. So we got a 7/16 wrench and just break it loose like that. And there we go. Put a little bit of fuel rated Teflon tape, which really this stuff says gas on it, but it's really rated for like natural gas. But it'll work for fuel too, I guess. I don't know, let's read on. Oh yeah, it says right on it, good for gasoline. Well, that's good. Alright, so next thing we'll do is we'll punch up there at the carburetor again and we'll thread this in. Once again, like we was saying earlier, tight's tight, too tight's broke. So we'll just take this and ease it in there. We'll make sure you definitely have some thread engagement, but you don't want to go too far because your needle in your seat's back there, which you could potentially crack this housing if you went too far with it, I guess. So we'll just thread it in there until it's pretty snug. And then we'll take our fuel line, slide it right down there. Take our flathead. Put it right there and tighten her down on good time. There we go. Take our spring, which is the spring setup we've been using for a while, but we're probably going to go away from. Hook it up to the throttle linkage, or to the throttle, and we're going to take our throttle cable, which is right here, and pop it on the little ball. Pop it on like that, so we got our choke wire hooked up, got our fuel line hooked up, got our throttle cable hooked up. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the fuel pump because I believe I disconnected this wire, or this fuel line. Yep. We're going to slide this fuel line back on so it can draw from our newly installed fuel tank. And then, so she hopefully lights off, and take our squirt bottle here, pull the end off of it, and fill the float bowls up a little bit if we can. Alright, just a little bit. Now we should be able to hit this a couple times. and you should be able to hear it. We got squirtage. Alright, so we're going to hit the key and try to light her off now. Hopefully it'll run. I have some faith in it. Starter kind of breaks. The plugs could be pretty well fouled out from the last carburetor just dumping fuel in it. We might need to pull it.